Hey everybody, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I wanted to end the year with a special gift from our family to yours. Now for some of you, this is going to be exactly the gift you've been asking for. And for others of you, it might be that surprise gift that you end up using all year long and you never knew you even needed it. And it is not our annual Wishbook of Annuals. I'll tell you about that later. This is a special resource that we've created. It's an online website that contains all of the plants that we carry. Now, people have been asking for this for years, and we have had a list online, but having a giant list of several thousands of plants is really hard to work through. But online, we're given an opportunity to do something completely different. So we created this website specifically for people who live in northern gardens. So if you're above the 45th parallel or you live in a place that gets really cold, this website's going to be just perfect for you. You can get to the plant profiles either from the navigation bar on our website, or we also have a button currently. So if you click on that, we created a website called upnorthgarden.com, so you can just type that in. You can bypass our website altogether. So number one, we put the plants first and foremost. Now, currently at this time of year, we're putting all of our annuals on there as well. So later on in the year, we'll be removing those down, and it'll only be the perennials, shrubs, trees, that type of thing. But for now, we are putting those annuals because, you know, at this time of year, a lot of people in northern climates are thinking about their annual pots and containers. So we put those front and center. For right now, we'll be removing those off the website down the road. But for now, you can view all the annuals as well as all our perennials, trees, and shrubs. Now, the interface is pretty familiar. The navigation has the primary categories of plants that we carry, also has a search bar, so you're able to put in what you're looking for. Now realize that you do have to know how to spell some of these plants, and with plants that can be a real challenge. So there are ways to work around that, and I'm going to show you some of the special features, because the feature that I think really powers this website and really helps you get the exact plant that you need is here in the sidebar. It's called the Show Me feature, and it is a filtering system that will narrow down the plants that you are looking at. So let's say I do go to the perennial page, but I noticed that there are 587 perennials. Now that is a huge list for you to have to go through, and a lot of these plants are ones that aren't even going to be suitable for what you need. So this is where the Show Me filtering feature comes in. So it's because I'm on the perennials page, it already has perennials checked off, so it only shows me perennials. If you need to get back to the main page, you can always click on the name up at the top, and that'll take you back where it shows you every single plant. Now, if you move your way down, you can start narrowing things down by, for example, light conditions. So let's say you are looking for a part shade plant. So we just went from 587 results to 335. Still a pretty big list. So what I want to do is bump down here and go to some of these attributes. And let's say you're trying to really focus on native plants. Now, when we say native, we're talking about native to North America, not specifically Michigan natives, but they are native to North America. That narrowed it down to 119, still a pretty big list, but we can keep narrowing this list down. I can go down here to the pollinator and pests area, and a lot of you will be using this feature, the deer resistance button. So I've clicked on that. Now remember, I am in the perennial section, so it is not showing me any of the annuals, trees, or shrubs, but if you look, we've got 51 results. So narrowed it down quite a bit, but I still want to go a little farther. Let's say I know I have a spot where I want to make sure I have a very hardy plant. I don't want anything that is going to suffer during the winter, so I can even go down to this section here where it says USDA zones, and we're going to go everything that's a zone 3 or colder. We've just narrowed that down to a much more reasonable list of 18 results. So now I know that I've got all the perennials that are part sun, deer resistant, native, and they're very hardy. And there's still a really good list to look at. Now that I've narrowed down my list, though, I need to pick which plants I'm most interested in. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to pick this one here. It's a columbine. When we chose the photos, we tried to make sure that they represented what we've seen the growth habit or the colors be. So we tried to be as accurate as possible, but sometimes grower photos are a little fancier or they're absolutely perfect. So we tried to make sure that they represented what we actually have seen. When you come down here, you're going to see there is the description. Each description should show you how much light it needs, the size it gets, and then what zone it's hardy to. It might have other information as well. We've tried to make sure that there's at least a small description for each one. There is an option for you to leave reviews. You will have to put in an email address and to be able to leave a review, but I think that could could be really helpful if you have a plant that's done well for you. Share that with other people so that they can also enjoy it. And then this area here are the categories. So these are all the different categories that this particular plant falls into. Now, if you wanted to see all the plants that fall into one of these categories, you can just click on one of those links. And for example, this will show you all the ones that attract bees, or these are the ones that will be all the rabbit resistant plants as well. So this is a way to just get to those categories. It doesn't filter them down quite the same way. It'll be kind of like going to that perennials only page. So I can also go back, and it still has all those plants that I had filtered down to, so I can keep looking at them. One of my favorite features though, and I think this is what's going to come in really handy for a lot of people, is this add to wish list. So if you click the little heart there, it allows you to create a wish list that you can go back to so that you never lose a plant. There's nothing worse than going online, reading about a plant, and then the next day trying to find that plant and it has completely disappeared. So this will eliminate that for you. So in order to register, you do pick a username, email, and password. We don't share your email address or your password. Your username will show up if you ever share your wish list or leave a comment. It'll be pre-logged in if you're logged in. This also allows you to go to any device. So if you're on your phone or on your laptop or your tablet, you'll be able to register at any time. So once you register, it's very easy. It will bring up all the plants that you add to your wish list. You can see I've already been in there adding a couple of different plants. And the nice thing about this is that you're also able to move your plants around. So you could organize them either by type of plant or by where you're planting them. So you might want to put all the things that are shade together, or all the things that are going in the front yard or the backyard, in, so they're grouped together so you can see them easily that way. You can always revisit the plants just by clicking on the name or on the photo. You can remove things from the list as well. And then down at the bottom, you can also share your list. So if you wanted to send it in an email or Facebook or Twitter, any of that kind of stuff, you're able to do that pretty easily. So that's kind of a nice little feature there, and we're very happy about that. You can also go in and get to your wish list anytime by clicking the My Wish List button. And then if you wanted to change your password or any of that information, that's going to be over here. It does say things like orders and downloads. This is not a site that you can order plants from. So those are buttons that are there that don't need to be, but we do leave them. But you can go to your account details and you can change information. And so you can go ahead and put whatever you want in there. You can also do things like change your display names. So if you don't want your information showing, you can give yourself any name you want and be more anonymous. Not a problem there. So let's head back out and I'll show you some of the other features. So for example, we do have the new at Netta's feature, which is really great because it shows all the new plants that we're going to be introducing this year. There's almost 300, but let's say I want to only look at the shrubs. So I'm going to narrow that down to shrubs and take a look at this. We've got beautiful new azaleas, barberries, and then look down here. Look at all the new hydrangeas. These are looking fantastic. And then there's a couple of new lilacs in the mix as well. So just a very exciting little section because you're going to see all the brand new stuff right in there. Now, there are a couple other things I want to show you. Down here at the bottom of the page, if you go to the About Us, we do give you a little background, but the important thing here is our sources. So a majority of the information that we have put up here are provided by our growers. So that includes the photos and a lot of the descriptions, the sizes, the zones, and we've done our best to bring that information over. There, of course, could be errors, so please don't get angry if we maybe put something in the wrong category or something isn't quite right. Just let us know so we can make the change. But these are also sites that you can go to if you're looking for plants maybe beyond our inventory or you're just looking for information. You can go right over to directly to their websites and you'll be able to get a little bit more information. Now, the other thing I want to show you is we did create a pollination guide. And if anybody has tried to pollinate or have fruit that requires a pollinator, it can be a little confusing. Now, this is a page that I think is going to always be evolving because we're always trying to find out easier ways to describe it because some plants like apples can be a little bit confusing. So we've tried to show you, for example, there are universal apple pollinators, and universal means that they will pollinate most plants. So these old-fashioned crab apples do the job. They're not ornamental. They actually produce fruit, and they have really long flowering times. So the flowering time is what determines if it's going to pollinate and be able to make fruit. Meanwhile, we divide our other apples into groups, and then so if you get an apple from a group 1, it only pollinates with apples from either group 1 or 2, and they have to be different varieties. So this area, you can always touch base with us and we'll try to help you understand. But we do have this here for you to reference. Once you understand it, this is a good referral point for you to get back to. Now, if you look further down, we show you the 2 different groups of pair pollinators. And then we also show you how the toca is considered a universal pollinator, but there are some other pollinators for plums as well. Some of the nut trees require 2 trees to have fruit. But remember, if you do have a neighbor who has a tree that's compatible or a bush that's compatible, they will end up pollinating your fruit as well. So not everybody needs 2 trees, but if you want to make sure, you have ones that work together. Now, apricots and blueberries are plants that they will produce fruit all by themselves, but if you have more than one variety, you tend to get a bumper crop. It tends to be much more productive than if you didn't have a second one. And then there's the fruits that don't require pollinators. So if you just get any of these berry bushes or grapes or cherries, you just need one and they'll produce fruit all on their own. So this can be a really valuable resource. We'll try to keep it up to date best we can. Let's see, is there anything more I want to show you? Let's go back home. I think that covers all the basics, but I do want to show you down here. There's a button down here called the Show Me All Categories. Now, this is not an elegant page by any means, but it could really come in handy for you. It has all the categories that we include on the site. So at the top are the ones that you're going to recognize from the filtering, but there are a lot of categories that go beyond that. So, for example, if you want to see all the annuals, they'll be listed here. This can be very valuable if you don't know how to spell something. And there are so many plants that are really confusing as far as spelling go. And then you'll move into perennials and look at some of those names. Like, I don't imagine myself being able to come up with how to spell some of these here. So, or I will be missing letters or putting them in the wrong order. Now, we move down. There's also for shrubs and then for trees as well. And then the evergreens down at the bottom. So this is just a nice page to know about if you are searching for something specific. So remember, you can always get back to the main page by clicking on the name and you're back up here. And again, with these annuals, you can easily go in and find just things for shade and things that'll be cut flowers. That's really nice. I'm going to take the cut flower one off though. And actually, I'm going to go down here and clear this because I want to get all those buttons undone. I'm going to explain to you some of these other categories or attributes. So continuous bloomers are plants that tend to bloom all season. With perennials and shrubs, that can be pretty valuable because a lot of the rebloomers are a little bit more appealing and they're usually a newer variety. But salt tolerant is a good one to know about right now because a lot of people have trouble with plants that along their either walkways or their driveways, and they don't know why. And there's a lot of reasons why your plants might not do well in that spot, but quite often it's because you put salt on those spots and certain plants can't take it. But there are other plants that don't mind that salt content in the soil and you don't end up hurting them. So there's a whole list of those plants here. The other ones, like drought tolerance, cut flower, those are really nice to have. Erosion control is a nice one as well. If you have a slope or you have an area that tends to have a lot of runoff, just remember that those plants do have to get rooted in order for them to actually do the work of erosion control. You can't expect to put them in and have a big rainstorm. They will wash out until they're established. Let's see. And if you have a spot that tends to, especially gets really wet in the springtime, or it's just a regularly wet area, maybe it's along a stream or just maybe in a really wet spot, you can find plants specifically for that. And then there is also the houseplant option. And these are plants, mainly annuals, that you can bring them in or you can just keep them inside for the season. So there's a couple of annuals that we like to feature in that section as well. And then remember, you can find hummingbirds, rabbit resistance, and we may be adding more categories as time goes on. We're doing the best with that. And then we also do have 3 of our premium plant brands. Sometimes people are looking specifically for proven winners, first editions, or endless summer plants. So we wanted to make sure you had that option as well. So I think you've got plenty of information here to get in there and get started. Start your wish list. Go ahead and look at that. If you sign up for a wish list, we may send you updates when something on your wish list, like if it goes on sale or if we get a new variety, we may send you an email. We will also probably add you to our email list. So just so you know, beyond that, we don't share your information. So don't worry about your email getting out and being put on some kind of annoying list or anything like that. We won't be sharing that with anyone. I also want to tell you about our 2023 Wishbook. This is our catalog of annuals that we've been creating for the last couple of years. It features all the annuals that we'll be selling this season, as well as our favorite planter and container combinations. The other thing that's new this year is we've included several pictures that I took when I was visiting the different trial gardens throughout the country. So you get to see real photos taken by someone from here of those plants that we're introducing this year. And I think when you see the photos, you're going to see why we would choose them and why we'd add them and want to make them available to you. So this is download only this year. We don't have a print version. It was just too expensive to produce, and we decided to take the money that we would have taken for that and put it into that website. So go ahead and have a look. You can download it at our website or at the Up North Garden as well.